All right, Wildcat fans, we are here from New Smyrna Beach for Cats Camp 2018. Nolan Alexander with you, and you know this man. He is an all-MEAC running back. You knew him from the gridiron, but here we go now. Here's our new camp correspondent, Jamaruz Thompkins. JT, you're going to be with us in camp. You're going to give fans something that they haven't seen before, an inside players look throughout camp, let you know exactly what these players are thinking out there on the field, what they're going through. And Jamaruz, it is a very windy day out here, so we're going to be doing our best to keep this camera straight right now, but here we go. We're gonna make it work here.
All right, cool.
How does it feel to be out here for your first Wildcat camp and you're not out there with pads? You're not on the field. You're here on the sideline.
It's a bittersweet moment. I thought about it yesterday. I was like, man, it's the first day of camp. The guys are reporting. I actually sent Tupac a text. I'm like, man, I miss you guys. I wish the best for y'all during this camp and just, attack the season. Attack everything that you want to conquer this season. But It's a very bittersweet. It's very bittersweet for myself. Of course, I miss it. I love it. I love the Wildcats. So it's emotional. So I would say that.
So here we go. Back away. The winds died down momentarily, but it's been blowing 15, 20 miles an hour today, which I take it is kind of nice for these players after the offseason workouts with all the heat and running around in this summer. But you come out here, you get 20-mile-an-hour winds. It feels like a fall day.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is the perfect weather. Honestly, this is the coolest I ever seen a camp. All right, we're good. This is the coolest I've ever seen a camp, and they're living in paradise right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, we practice in 100-degree heat, no wind, humid, but they have to take advantage of this stuff right here. So it's really good.
Thanks to Michael Trapp right now. He's balancing this stand, making sure that we don't fall over and break this expensive equipment, and I can hang on to my job for one more day. So we're coming out here. The guys right now are just in helmets. They're not in full pads just yet. Why is that? Why are we out in just helmets right now as an acclimation process for this team?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, every year, of course, it's a part of probably NCAA rules, just get the guys used to wearing the helmets, getting them acclimated to running around full speed, flying around the field left and right, just going all out for everybody in every play. So it's part of just getting used to the process, getting used to the heat, and just really, working through the tinks and the bruises and everything that's going to come, shall I say.
Now, if you could take us back to some of your younger days when you were a freshman, a sophomore out here, and trying to get used to this practice schedule, how much did it help to have these veterans out here to coach these guys and bring them along? Okay, this is the next period. Now we're moving to special teams.
Well, I mean, like I said, with the guidance of the veterans and other older members of the team, they definitely, we're navigating you around, fly around here. Don't just go somewhere. Just make sure you're not walking. That's the biggest thing. If you walk, you're no good. You're useless pretty much. But, they train you on a sense where it's urgent. Everything has to be urgent. No matter where you go, just make sure you get there with urgency. So with the help of the vets, with all the older guys, all the older coaches and stuff, you caught on quick. And if you didn't, you have to move quickly. So that was a very crucial part of learning the process.
Now, JT, I know you're close with this team. You helped us out in our broadcast to the spring maroon and gold game. Why are you excited about the 2018 version of BCU football?
Man, it's a lot to look forward to. I mean, new players, a lot of new faces, a lot of young guys. That, you should always be excited. And it's the greatest sport in America. So who doesn't like football? But like I said, being a former member of the team, it's always good to stay closely knit with your players and because they're like younger mentors. They're like younger brothers to you, and, they look up to you for advice and stuff like that. So, giving back is the biggest thing. So really giving back and pouring back into them is the biggest thing. You could teach them things off the field as well as on the field that you have faced personally. So it's very crucial and important.
We apologize about this wind. It's blowing about 15, 20 miles an hour out here at New Smyrna Beach, but we're doing the best we can to bring you our Cats Camp coverage. This is your new camp correspondent, Jamaruz Thompkins. You know him, an alt-MEAC running back. You told us earlier you texted some of your boys in the running back group to go get it out and practice today. One of the guys you mentioned, preseason third-team all-MEAC, Tupac Ismi. What can we look for out of Tupac this season?
I told him personally, this is your season. There's nothing holding you back. You're not the youngest guy anymore. It's all you. So you have to carry the weight of the team. You have to carry the weight of the running backs and pretty much lead the team to where you want them to go. So I told him, even as a running back core, y'all have to lead the group. It's up to y'all. Running backs have always, down through the years, we have always led the team. Biggest bats, fastest bats, leading rushers, all through the MEAC, all conference and all Americans. It's up to y'all to depend, and take the team where they want to go. So I told Tupac it's on him. All eyes are on Tupac, basically. All eyes on me. So I told him to just have a great mindset about everything. Be a leader, be a champion. Go win. Go be great. Do all the things that it takes to get your team there. Yeah. So that's what I told him, and he understood that.
How do you get on our running backs coach Carl Franks' good side here in day one? What do you got to do to be on coach's good side? You don't want to start at the doghouse, right?
Definitely not. High and tight. Don't fumble. Catch every ball. Point blank, period. That's the first thing. If you want to get on his bad side, also show up to everything on time. He trains you just as it's the real world, like a job. You got to be on time to every meeting or be early to everything. If you be late, then you're no good. So that's how you get on his bad side. But to get on his good side, you do everything perfectly. He'll leave you alone, honestly.
Has that helped you since you've now entered the real world?
Definitely. Meeting after meeting, I'm always there early. It goes a long way because others see it. You know what I'm saying? Others see it, and others get recognition from it. You get recognition from it, and it's a good impression on yourself. So he's definitely preparing you for the real society, basically.
This is Jamaruz Thompkins. He's our new camp correspondent in 2018. He'll be speaking with Coach Sims afterward to get his thoughts on the first day of practice for the Wildcats, and we'll post that interview on our BCU Gridiron Twitter page as well as our YouTube. If you haven't liked us already, go on ahead, go on YouTube, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button to the Cat Eye Network. JT, welcome into Cats Camp 2018. You're on the other side. You're not out there sweating. The coaches aren't yelling at you. You're in the shade.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you along.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's an honor. It is truly an honor.
All right. It's Jamaruz Thompkins. Jamaruz, we're going to ask you to move to this side. We're going to go bring on Bryan Harvey. Can we get to Bryan Harvey on Facebook Live? We're going to talk about this team. Bryan knows his team. He's the assistant athletic director for communications. He's been so for a numerous amount of years at Bethune-Cookman, so he knows the history of this football team. He's seen many rosters. Hop on in here. Bryan Harvey joining us here on Facebook Live. Bryan, you pulled me into your office today. You said, this team's loaded. I really like this roster. What do you like about the 2018 version of the Cats, maybe more so than we did last year? A great season for BCU.
I think the one thing that you look at when you see this team, Nolan, and you and I talked about this in Norfolk just a little bit, is that they have so much chemistry. You're talking about the defensive side of the ball where you have so much back. And for me, I love offense. I love scoring, but I'm a defensive guy when it comes to, hey, this is what sets the tone of the game. This is what stops you from scoring. So you can't win if you can't score, and that's what I always look at. You can't win if you can't score, and I think with so much back defensively with Elliott up there, and then you look at guys like Todney and KT when he comes back, this is really going to be a stout group. And then shout out to my frat brother Trenton Bridges. I had to throw that in there. You have so much on defense, and then Devin, Marquise. Oh, my gosh. I mean, it's just that line from front to back, from defensive back, linebackers, defensive line, all the way around is so loaded that I think teams are going to have a hard time trying to stop that particular side and then try to figure out what Yogi Jones is doing, because he's just a mastermind when it comes to defensive coordinator. You're talking about one of the best in the nation, and we've had him for so long that he's now implemented his style, and he continues to deliver on so many high names. Daquan Richardson last year, and just so many guys that have done so many great things here. And it's like they don't even restock; they just reload. I mean, there's never a year to where this team is kind of depleted in this area. He makes it seem effortless in getting more talent in there. And this year, I think that side of the ball is so loaded that teams are going to have a hard time trying to figure out those schemes from Yogi Jones.
Again, we apologize about the wind. I know it's broken here momentarily. It has been 15, 20 miles an hour. Big thanks to Bianca Cacho now filling in. She's in charge of all of our social media at BCU. So all those Instagram stories, BCU Athletics, you see them on Instagram, on Twitter, that's all Bianca's work. Bryan Harvey, our assistant AD for communications at Bethune-Cookman. We're here for Cats Camp 2018 out in New Smyrna. So you've done this trip before out here to New Smyrna Beach, 30 minutes away from campus, and it's a unique feel. It's a good feel. It kind of gives that camp atmosphere that you see sometimes NFL teams like the Panthers. You're from Carolina. They go to Wofford College. You get away from a little bit, and it gets you even more in that football-focused mindset, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Nolan. You said it right. It's an NFL mindset to where you're not on campus. So it's that unfamiliarity. I had to kind of slow down and say that. You had that unfamiliarity with you're not used to practicing here. So you come out here, you get a new feel, a new vibe. You have to focus and concentrate, learn the play of the field, learn what's a little choppy, learn some different areas. And also, you get time to think on that bus ride here every day. Think about what you want to do today. Think about the plays you're going to make. And then on the way back, think about, hey, what could I have improved upon? What could I have done better? So you do get that, like you said, that NFL attitude to where you feel kind of displaced without being displaced. It's only a 30-minute ride, but it is far enough to where you don't have the distractions of people on campus kind of, oh, there go my homeboy, or there's so-and-so watching. You get that closed-in feel of, hey, it's time to go to work, just like you would every day. You get up, you get dressed, you go to work, you come home. So that's kind of that feeling. They're going to work, they're coming back home afterwards.
Well, you spoke about how much you love the defense for the Cats going into the 2018 season. We lost a lot of names on offense from 2017. Now, coming back in the two deep, guys got some snaps last year, just not as many as the starters. How does Alan Suber in this offense replace some of those mainstays for the Cats that had been there for multiple years?
That's really the reason I'm out here. I want to see how Alan does that, because you're talking about a guy that has come in with a new offense, kind of redone everything with the speed, his tempo, his style, some of the new plays that they implemented last year that caught a lot of people off guard. And it took some of the quarterbacks last year, Larry and Jabari and Akivius, it took them a little bit of time to kind of get used to that speed, and I think having him here was just an absolute great thing in helping propel that to the next level of that offense. And now we're going to see how Sub can really do that, because it's going to be tough. You did lose a lot, like you said, you lost a lot on offense, but guess what? You got a lot of those skill guys that were young last year and hungry. Those guys want to play now, and I think that makes a team. You get someone that comes in, hey, I know I lost this particular person. I know I lost a Frank Brown. I know I lost a Jawil, who's doing great things in the Giants camp. I know I lost these guys, but I want to play too, and I'm going to show the coaching staff this is why you brought me in. So I think that's just absolutely fantastic to see some of these guys out here right now hungry, going through plays, going through the drills, listening to the coaches, really getting in that mindset of, I want to be the next Jawil. I want to be the next Alan Suber. I want to be the next, Frank Brown. I want to make my name here, and they've got a chance. And I think that's a good thing in the fact that, yeah, you've got so many young guys, but you also have some guys that can now make their name, and now we'll talk about them in 4 years. Hey, who's the next Quayshawn? Who's the next Trevor? That's what you're going to talk about.
Well, you could hear Tupac Ismay toting the rock right behind us. Oh, that's a train. Oh, that's a train. Excuse me. We got the airport behind us, planes. We got trains. We got the gator carts. We got automobiles.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
And we got 20-mile-an-hour winds. We got everything you would want here on day one. This is Bryan Harvey. He's our assistant AD for communications at Bethune-Cookman University. Bryan, you were up in Norfolk for the MEAC Media Days last week. We saw Elliott Miller and Kevon Mitchell represent BCU so well. I also got to see every other team around the MEAC. How do you think the MEAC's going to shake out this year? Do you think it's going to be similar to last year or different?
I think we're going to come down to those last 2 weeks again. I really do. I think from 1 through 5, obviously they have us pick 4th, and that may be good and bad. It's good for the team in the fact that they say, you know what, guys, we got 3 people that they think are better than us, so we're going to have to step up our game. It can be bad in the fact that you say, wow, they really only think that we're 4th, and we think we have so much coming back. So it's a good and bad thing, and I know coaches love being picked middle of the pack because it's, oh, we got no pressure on us, oh, they think we're this bad, and it's good locker room stuff.
Yeah.
But when you look at that 1 through 3, that's probably where it's going to be. Those games are going to be the kind of end-all, be-all to this season. You start with A&T, the defending champs. You got to give them the credit. A lot of times it's hard to find a team that you don't put back at number 1 that next year unless they lost everything. Yep. And that is very rare. Now, it did happen here in 2012. We lost a lot going into 13. So we weren't voted preseason number 1, but guess what? We ended out at the end of the year, number 1. So it's very rare that you find that. That's going back 6 years now. You look at North Carolina Central staff, yeah, you lost Mac, and I hope he does great things at Rice, but they still have a a coach there in Granville that knows that program. He was there. He was with that program. So it's not like they lost a whole lot. You know, you lost a couple of key guys, but you still have Devontae Reynolds, who's going to be the staple of, like we talked about, that defense. And that defense is what sets plays and makes that team go. That triggers their offense, and it did it so many times last year in games. I think without Devontae last year in that A&T game, I don't know if A&T beat Central last year without him before the game being suspended. I don't think they beat them. And now you look at.
Can you tell we have a Central alum with us?
And that's no bias, but maybe a little bit. So you look at Howard, who was a spot up there as well. Kalen Newton had a great season last year. There's no doubt about it. And then Mike London comes in from a program, you know, when he was at Virginia and before that at Richmond. So the guy knows FBS and FCS. So that's a program that I think is on the rise. And Howard, they feel back. You look at Jay last week, you know, Jay Walker, who's everything there at Howard. He felt it last week. And for the fact that those alumni are now starting to feel again, starting to breathe that steam and that Bison Express again, that says a lot about this league. And those are programs that you want back. Jay calls it the Mecca of Black College, and you want that back. You want that Jay Walker, that Gary Flea Harrell, and those guys when they were really crushing throughout the league. You want that back. You want A&T back near the top. And because their fan base is so rabid and you get the stadiums packed, it makes the MEAC look good. And then just below us, Morgan State, another program that is in Baltimore, and they really are a jewel that I think just gets tapped into every now and then. But you saw it back in 15 where they won and they go to the playoffs, you know. So these are teams that I think this year 1 through 6 could easily be a hey, this is going to be a log jam at that 1 through 6 spot. And then a team that I don't think people are giving enough credit to, and that's a team in Orangeburg. I don't think a lot of people are giving enough credit to Buddy Pugh. They're saying this may be his last year there, and this may be his farewell tour, and that's just hearsay. You know, that's hearsay all the time. But Orangeburg's always been a special place and a very tough place to go. When you go to Dawson Stadium, you better bring your hard hat. That's a place that they really play ball up there, and those kids, they really get after it. So
Wildcat practice, nothing like it, baby.
Then this guy knows all about it. You know, he knows about going up there and winning games in Orangeburg. You know, we've done it. That's a special place to play, and it's a tough place to play. So 1 through 6, that's a log jam. But I'm don't sleep on South Carolina State this year too. That's really going to be a hard hitting game up there in Orangeburg, Nolan.
So we're here at New Smyrna Beach for day 1 of Cats Camp 2018. Big thanks again to Bianca Concho right now, is making sure this video is happening live. Without her, we have 15-mile-an-hour winds, and we're blowing all over the place. This is Bryan Harvey. He is our assistant AD for communications at BCU. And, Bryan, we're going to wrap it up with this. You did a great job going through the MEAC. And if you're a fan of BCU football, if you're a fan of MEAC football, you're going to get a chance to see a fair amount of those teams either at the brand new, recently remodeled Daytona Stadium, formerly Municipal Stadium, or in driving distance for BCU's schedule here in 2018. If there are any fans right now, Bryan, that are on the fence, haven't renewed their season tickets, or are thinking about buying season tickets for the Wildcats, why should they commit today?
I think we've already talked about it. You have so much potential in this team. They need you behind them. This team needs you behind them. This is a team that is returning a lot on defense, maybe not as much on offense. So those guys are going to rally around that band. They're going to rally around that fan. They're going to rally around Donovan Wells and them getting the fans up, and then the fans getting the team up, and then the team getting, you know, themselves up. And Coach Sims' fight songs and his spirit and that rah-rah that he does down there coming out of the locker room, you know, it's really going to be a season where you're going to want to catch this action. And it starts with week 1. I mean, you're talking about going up against a guy that spent many years down here in Daytona. The guy still recruits this area. He knows them very well. That's Rod Reed at Tennessee State. That's a team that in the OVC, I believe they were picked 5th, if I'm not mistaken, either 5th or 6th in that league this year. And that may be a little bit of an understatement to them. That's a program that has been just really nipping.
And we know who their opener last year would happen.
And absolutely. So you look at, that's a team that's nipping right there. You want to get to that John Merritt Classic, which I know it's Tennessee State's Classic and it's in Nashville, but my gosh, that's a hell of a classic. That's something that, you know, you go up there, they shut down the bridge. They have a huge party there. They bring back their alumni. It's a lot of tailgating. And Wildcat fans, last time we opened up at the John Merritt Classic, we had a little win over Big Blue up there. So that's another kind of keynote I may put in game notes later on, that our last win over Tennessee State was a John Merritt Classic, so we need you there. You also look at some of the other games. Indianapolis, we're going to the Heartland. We're going to Indy. The raceway of the South goes to the raceway of the Midwest. We're going up there, and we're going to play Howard in a neutral site. So we're giving up a home game, technically, to go to a neutral site in the Circle City Classic, which is a revamped classic. We haven't played Howard in that since 1999, and that was an absolutely fantastic contest. And the Circle City used to be a huge classic back in the day. It was one that people really looked forward to going to. Not as much anymore because it kind of fell off through the years, but I think the Black Expo Indianapolis Black Expo has done a fantastic job of getting this thing revamped and making it better again. So I think the Circle City is one you're going to want to catch. But then we got so many games within driving distance, like you said, Nolan. Orangeburg, it's always a tough contest at Dawson. Savannah, you want to go up to Savannah State at Ted Wright Stadium and see that. The last time you get to see Savannah State, quite possibly. We don't know as far as non-conference for the years to come. I can't say that, but this is going to be the last conference game between Savannah State and Bethune-Cookman for who knows how long. It's going to be a while, and we know that. So you look at, you want to go there, you want to get that last experience at Savannah State. Not to mention they beat us there. People were crying in the stands. They beat us there 2 years ago because it hadn't happened before.
I thought we weren't going to talk about that.
Well, I got to mention it because now I want Sims to be saying, you know what, Bryan Harvey, I told him not to say that, and so I got to get my cuss out at camp. So on day one, it's also some games. FAU. You want to go down there, Lane Kiffin and that high-powered offense against Coach Sims, and now Alan Subers had a chance to study that, break that down, how he's going to get past that defense. Yogi Jones has had a year to look at that as well. That's not going to be the same game as last year. That's going to be a much different game this year. And then always games at home. You have some really, really good games here at home that you're going to want to see. A&T, and then as we just announced, North Carolina Central, a Thursday night game on ESPN too. So it's going to be an absolutely fantastic venue at Daytona Stadium, newly remodeled, like you said. It's being completely remodeled, and people are going to be like, "Wow, this really looks good." And then also, you talk about wrapping up at Camping World Stadium, and Florida Citrus Sports does such a fantastic job in our partner with Florida Blue Florida Classic. Nolan, I'm going to end it with this. There's nothing else that needs to be said. You're playing the Snakes on the Hill. That's it.
So if you haven't committed yet, let me just tell you, as Bryan went through, this schedule is unique for Bethune-Cookman from years past. If the Cats get to the Celebration Bowl for the first time, they will truly earn it. And the slew of opponents they're going to play this year are going to be quality opponents. Most are going to be in driving distance if they're not at Daytona Stadium. It's a great fan-friendly schedule in 2018. Even the home game that we're giving up, the Circle City Classic, Indianapolis, it's a phenomenal experience up there at Lucas Oil Stadium, the house that Peyton built. 3 classics for the Wildcats this year. John Merritt, Circle City, and the Florida Blue Florida Classic. Bryan, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us here today for Cats Camp coverage. I'd like to thank Bianca Cacho again for her social media coverage and holding up this prop right now. Keep an eye out to our social media outlets throughout Cats Camp to get the inside look at Bethune-Cookman football. That's on Instagram at BCU Athletics and BCU Gridiron. It's on Twitter, BCU Gridiron, BCU Athletics. You know us right here on Facebook at BCU Athletics, YouTube, the Cat Eye Network, and then www.bcuathletics.com. If you haven't bookmarked it yet, go on ahead. You're going to get some very unique stories from Bryan, myself, and of course Daytona Dan Ryan will be joining us for very unique feature stories about these Wildcats. And because of the win, we haven't kept up with the questions here on Facebook, but afterward we'll go back and look at the comments. And if you have any questions for JT, myself, Bryan, or anyone to ask coach of these players throughout camp, leave it in the comments section. We'll be sure to ask it, and we'll let you know what their response is. So, Bryan.
Ask me.
Ask Bryan. Questions for Bryan. We'll ask Bryan, too. Yeah, that works. All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Hail Wildcats!